Good morning. So today I think is the day. Today is the day I think I'm gonna tell my story of why I had brain surgery. Good to see you. It's taken a while for me to, I guess, be brave enough or process through this whole situation in a way that I felt safe and I guess ready to talk about it. I wanted to share with you guys because I'm sure it's been sort of elusive, and if you follow me on Facebook, you've seen some posts. We moved here in December and I began getting sinus infections and ear infections, which I have no history of whatsoever. I am a healthy person in general. My passion is in health and wellness. I'm a huge believer in food as medicine and natural medicine. So generally speaking, I don't veer towards Western medicine, which would be, I don't feel good, go to the doctor, get an antibiotic. It comes to medicine and the body, I believe the body can heal. My children have never had antibiotics, thank God, even though this situation proves or affirms, which I already knew, that there's a time and a place for Western medicine, which would be one of the lessons in this situation, let's just say. So I began getting the sinus infections and ear infections. I actually was able to heal those naturally through essential oils and homeopathic medicine. That's not what I'm recommending for you. I am not a doctor. I'm just simply saying that's how I treated it. So I was fine. So starting in April, I got a nasty infection. I had green coming out my ears, green coming out my nose. Sorry, that's kind of disgusting, but I knew it was more severe than probably the other ones. And for whatever reason, my methods were not getting it this time. So a couple weeks into it, I went to the ENT. They found that I had fluid in my mastoid, which is the bone under here, under your ear, which happens when fluid from your ear doesn't drain properly, it lands in the bone there. So that was not typical for adults. So anyways, they decided that, it could go one or two ways. It could be super dangerous and I could be at risk for meningitis because there's a very fine line between that bone and your brain, or the fluid would clear. So they, along with the radiologists, decided that the fluid would clear on its own. I got a second opinion. They said the same thing. During the sickness in April, I had massive headaches. I have a high pain threshold. So natural childbirth, usually I just push through things. I would much rather have been in hard labor than have these headaches. I was crying every single day. And it was through all of April, through this illness. And then I finally had seen a holistic doctor as well as a regular doctor. I started treating it. It started going away. So all my stuff started draining. And I was like, great, I'm going to be healed. But these headaches were just not going away. They were so bad, and it was every single day, and they lasted all through, or halfway through May, without any symptoms of a sinus infection or ear infection. I still had a little bit of fluid left in my ear, which seemed to have been there since the very first one in December, which is super obnoxious if you've ever experienced that. So I had tried chiropractor adjustments, which we get regularly, and nothing was draining it. So they just chalked it up to the inflammation in my eustachian tube, which is the tube that drains the fluid from your ear when you have ear infection. Same tube that needs help in children when they get tubes put in. They put tubes in to open the eustachian tube so it drains and the child doesn't get ear infections anymore. Well, I am not a child. Very strange that I started getting those things. So fast forward into May, and the headaches were just so bad. So I finally went to urgent care. You guys, for me to go to the doctor is a big deal. It sounds ridiculous maybe to some of you, but I feel like a lot of what I do and what I know of the body for me and my family is I'm empowered enough to take it into my own hands unless I feel someone is at risk. Obviously, I wouldn't put my children at risk, but myself, I tend to push through a little bit more. So for me to go to urgent care, I literally went there and I said, this isn't right. My head is killing me. You know, and he ordered a CT scan. Well, the CT scan came back with the mastoiditis is what they called it, fluid. So fine, that's great. They said it would drain once again. I ended up at the emergency room twice, actually. The first time they did several MRIs, I just was bawling hysterically. And all of the MRIs were coming up clear, but yet they couldn't get my pain down. My head was like beyond a 10 on the scale of 1 to 10. Again, like beyond childbirth pain. It was so bad. And I have no history of headaches, so it was scary and really uncomfortable. So that night, the first ER visit, I went to a place here that specializes in headaches and strokes. So I was mindful about where I was going. I knew there would be specialists and neurologists there and all that stuff. So they did several MRIs. They all came back clear. They said, you know, here's a cocktail of medicine basically to bring your pain down. You can stay overnight and let us treat your pain and let you see neurology in the morning. Or you can go home. Here's the cocktail of medicine and you can see neurology this week and we'll get you in. Typically a neurologist appointment lasts, you wait like 5 or 6 weeks to get in. It's super, super long. So I decided to go home because I am not a huge fan of the hospital. Who is, right? So that night, the IV meds wore off and I took the oral ones and it didn't touch the pain again. And I was like, what in the world is going on? So the next day, I literally woke up. It was like I was a robot. Like I packed a bag. I found myself writing my children a letter, which makes me want to cry because I knew that something was terribly wrong and I was going to drive myself to the emergency room, same emergency room, and I didn't know whether I was going to come back, honestly. So I basically wrote them a letter just reminding them of all of the things we talk about during prayers at night and the little life lessons that mommy teaches them, and you know, they're young, so they watched me cry a lot. So throughout the process. So anyways, I did that and I drove crying the whole way and I prayed to God that every single person that came into my room or dealt with my case was blessed by the hand of God. In a spiritual way, in a religious way, whatever you want to call it, that I wanted everybody that was going to be involved in my case to know exactly what they're doing and to help me. So I walked in and they admitted me right away, and after several more tests, something called an MRV, which is a picture of the vessels going from the neck into the brain, they found a blood clot in my jugular, a huge one. They found an abscess in my skull, which was about 2 centimeters big, which is very big. And then around that area, they found an infection in the base of my skull, so a bone infection. So this turned out to be something A, very rare, like 1 in 10,000, and B, super life-threatening. So they scheduled an emergency craniotomy. There were like a team of infectious disease, a team of ENT, a team of neurosurgeons, and a team of neurologists on me. I was young and healthy. It took forever to find this. Why was that happening? This weird combination of infections. What caused this? So it took them a good day almost to find a route to cut into my head to get to the abscess, to clean it out, because that was basically my body's way of walling off the infection in my skull to protect my body, essentially, or to protect the fluid, which was infectious, to go into my blood, which was why my blood work wasn't coming up, as besides my inflammatory markers, my white blood cells were fine. So it was weird. I wasn't presenting as a patient that had an infection. I didn't have a fever. I didn't have anything really, just headaches. So anyways, that was when they decided that this was the side that they wanted to go by. It was the side they cut through this muscle. all the nerves here, removed some of this bone, so I have titanium there now, and they essentially moved my brain to get to the abscess, cleaned it out. And I woke up and literally, like, I think about it now and I'm like, did that really just happen? It's so surreal. They got the abscess, you know, as far as they cleaned it out. Then I stayed 10 days in the hospital to monitor everything. They put me on 8 weeks of IV antibiotics. So I had a PICC line in my arm that pumped antibiotics 23 hours a day into my system. I am still having some headaches. They said that was somewhat normal. I have some trauma response to it. I need to do some work around that. I did a lot of hypnotherapy and a lot of energy work around my other traumas that I've had in my life, so I think I'm going to be doing that. I'm just praying that the medicine worked. The psychological effect and the emotional effect that this has had on my family and my husband, you know, it was really hard. It was very scary. My husband thought he was going to lose me. I was completely guided that I ended up there when I did. I had people telling me it was fine, they're just headaches, blah, blah, blah. So I powered through them. Had I listened to myself and my intuition earlier, I probably would have caught it earlier, but that was not the plan. And I do believe this was God's plan. So many blessings have come from it. I have seen and felt so much love from people, friends, family, and perfect strangers, support. It has been amazing. And I've learned a lot of lessons and I feel really grateful about that. And I'm beyond grateful for life. I feel like God gave me another chance to live. And I seriously believe that I have a bigger purpose here. I'm not sure exactly what He wants for me or what my purpose is. I think that it will be revealed to me in time, but I think He would have taken me if it was my time, not to sound morbid, but I do. So I guess the takeaway from this is, yes, it's been incredibly challenging on all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's challenged my health beliefs and it's been a convergence of a lot of different things. But the main takeaway is listen to your body. Do not let doctors or people around you make you feel like you're, complaining or being a baby. I'm not saying, run to the doctor every time you have a pain. No, that's not what I'm saying. But all I'm saying is listen to your body. You know yourself better than anybody. You are your best advocate. And part of my business and part of what I love is to empower people with alternatives to medicine, to do that, to know that they have alternatives, to feel empowered, to remind them that they know their body better than anybody. And the doctors are amazing. They have great education. This team of doctors saved my life. I feel so grateful that it was an amazing experience in that regard. But they're still human beings. They're not God, or they're not the universe, or whatever you believe, but they're not. They're humans that got educated and in that field. So they make mistakes and they don't know all. Trust yourself. You know more than anybody. So that is a main lesson for me, that to trust myself. And I hope that somehow this video helps somebody somehow either feel empowered, or if you've not felt well, to go get checked out. If it's lasted a long time, if your doctors try to tell you, you're crazy. No one said that to me, but I know that happens all the time. You are not crazy. If you don't feel good, if you have symptoms, believe that something's going on. Now, I'm not saying emotional things don't manifest physically. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm really excited about that. I am dealing with the aftermath emotionally. So excited to be back here in front of the camera for whoever's watching. Maybe this will help, maybe this won't help, but it feels good to have some energy and to be in life. So that is it. That's the story of why I was rushed into brain surgery. I hope that I helped in some way, and I hope all of you are well. Blessings, blessings, and thank you for your love and support.